Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminite Namani Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarani. Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna and welcome you all to the ISKCON Sadachar classes. So until last weekend, right? So we completed the Sadachar manual, right? So wherein we had 6 classes of Vaishnavas, right? So wherein we covered multiple topics of how to dress, right? How to attend temple programs, and then how do we respect the seniors, right? How do we offer prasadam? How do we uh, eat prasadam, right? And how do we serve prasadam? How do we serve Vaishnavas? Yeah? And then at the end, we saw the offenses. Yeah? So with that, right, the IDC, the manual which we had in, right? So the student handbook manual which we had from the Mayapur, right? That course we are done. Okay. And after that, right, so we'll be going to the Leela avatars of the Lord. Okay, so that'll be basically Dasa avatars, right? So we'll be having 10 more sessions. And then if you're interested, then we'll go with some of the important verses of Srimad Bhagavatam after that. But yes, so let's see how our journey goes in. So at least for now, we'll have 10 more classes. Okay. And about avatars, right? So I'm not sure how many of you might be knowing that there are different types of avatars. Yeah. So the Lord has, right? So basically, there are 6 types of avatars. Okay. So one is Purusha avatar, right? So the first one is Purusha avatar. Second one is Leela avatar. Yeah. Third one is Guna avatar, and the fourth one is Manvantara avatar. Fifth is Yuga avatar, and sixth is Satyavesha avatars. Okay, so these are the different avatars which the Lord takes. Okay, and among them, right? So we'll be looking at the Leela avatars. Okay, so Leela avatars are the ones wherein these Dasha avatars are covered. So these are nothing but the pastime incarnations of the Lord. Okay, so which are from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. And as I mentioned, right, Purusha avatars are nothing but the incarnation wherein Lord Krishna incarnates in 3 Purusha avatars, right? So does anyone wants to guess those names, or anyone wants to give a try? So I've given already the clue. These are the first incarnations as 3 Purusha avatars.
One is Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
One
Krishna
is
Prabhu. Prabhu, your voice is low.
one is Narsimha Avatar.
Uh, no, Prabhu. So that comes under Leela.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So is it Brahma Vishnu
Yeah,
Maheshwar?
that's Guna. But Purusha avatar is nothing but the first incarnation, right? So is nothing but Karnodakshaya Vishnu, right? So the Lord who is laying in the ocean, right? This is before the creation, right? And then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Yeah. So those are Purusha avatars. And as Praveen Prabhu said, right? In Leela avatars, these all things should be covered, Prabhu. Say like Matsya avatar, all those, right? Narsimha avatar, Kurma, Dhanvantri, Vamana, all those things should cover there. Yeah. And then Guna avatars are the other ones, Prabhu. Say like the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, right? So there we get this Brahma and Shiva, and Lord Vishnu for the maintenance. Yeah. So anyway, I think so. Those are the ones, and so even the others are Manvantra avatars is nothing but so the 14 Manus, right? So Brahma's day is one kalpa, right? So again, it is divided into 4 periods of the Manus. Okay, so that's there, and then Yuga avatars are nothing but the 4 yugas, right? Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga, right? So those are the ones, and the last one is nothing but Shaktya Vesha avatars are the empowered incarnations. Okay, so for example, we can take the example of Narada Muni, right? He was an empowered avatar for devotional service, yeah, and Vyasadeva also. So he was the empowered incarnation for compiling the Vedas. Yeah. So in that way, so these are the different types of avatars. Okay, and in that, right. So our focus is on the Leela avatars. Okay, and so today we'll be looking at the first Leela avatar. So that is nothing but Matsya. Okay, the fish incarnation. Okay, so that would be our first one. Okay, and we all know, right? Say in Bhagavad Gita, we have learned that why does Lord Krishna incarnate? Say, there are 2 famous slokas around it, right? So we know that the Lord incarnates. So when is the time when the Lord incarnates? There are 2 famous verses.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, yeah, there was another Prabhu who wanted to tell. Go ahead, Prabhuji. Someone was speaking though. Okay. So this is nothing but the Lord says, right, in Bhagavad Gita, so in the chapter 4, he says his reason for appearing, right? So whenever there is decline in the religious practices, right? So at that time, the Lord says that he descends, right? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyam, right? And so whenever there is irreligiosity, the Lord comes and then he actually balances out, right? How does he do that? He actually takes care of the pious, right? He delivers the pious and then he annihilates the miscreants, right? So that's what Mataji said, right? Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkrutam. So he actually comes millennium after millennium, right? To settle down these things. Okay. So whenever there is more demonic culture which is there, which comes into existence, right? To balance it out, the Lord incarnates. Yeah. So in that way, right? So this particular Matsya avatar also is one of the avatars which the Lord took, right? So to actually deliver justice. Let me share this screen. Okay. So this is Matsya avatar. This was the first avatar. Okay. So again, this is also from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8. Okay. So wherein all these So whatever is covered in the slides, right? So these are from Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Okay. And he especially descends, right? See the Lord, right? See the Lord especially descends to give protection to the cows and brahmanas. Okay. So go brahmanya hitacha, right? So he actually comes to deliver. So in the earlier yugas, right? So brahmanas and cows had a special reservation, or they were specially treated. Okay. So that's the reason the Lord used to come. Okay. So this particular instance, right? So this was at the end of the previous kalpa. Okay. So wherein there was a demon named Hayagriva. Okay. So he wanted to take all the Vedic knowledge away from the Lord Brahma at the time of annihilation. So we know, right? Every day when Lord Brahma sleeps, right, there is an annihilation which happens. Okay. And when he gets up again, everything gets built up, right? So this, so during that phase, right, this particular instance had happened. Okay. So to actually, so this was the um, episodes wherein say Brahmaji, Lord Brahma wanted to rest, and then so while resting, right, the Vedas were actually coming out of his mouth, and then this demon Hayagriva actually stole all this Vedic knowledge, and then he went away underneath the waters. Okay. So hence the Lord has, because the Lord is always awake, right? So he knows so what is happening all around the universes, right? So he has total control. So he had to, because the best incarnation to be in the water is fish. That's the reason he took the fish incarnation here, and then he killed the demon Hayagriva, and then he restored the Vedic wisdom. Yeah, and along with that, we'll be actually looking in the other one also. So actually, this happened during the Swayambhuva Manu. So there are 14 Manus. Okay, so the killing of the Hayagriva happened in the Swayambhuva Manu to save the Vedas. Okay, so the fish incarnations are twice actually. So the first one is during the period of Swayambhuva Manu to save the Vedas, and the second one is during the Chakshusa Manu. Okay. So to actually deliver his pure devotee. Okay. So we'll see through. So who is that devotee, and then how that episode went through, and right. So we'll see in the subsequent slides. Okay. So this is Dasavatara Ashtaka. Okay. So wherein so this Dasavatara Ashtaka is there on YouTube also. So you can actually uh, learn it. So this is this goes like this. Pralayapayodhi jale dhritavan asivedam vihita vahitra charitram akhedam keshavadhrita meena sharira jaya jagadisha hare. So like this for every avatar, right? We'll have 10 ashtakas which you can read. Yeah? So the meaning of this is, O Keshava, O Lord of universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a fish, all glories to you. You easily acted as a boat in the form of a giant fish just to give protection to the Vedas, which had become immersed in the turbulent sea of devastation. Okay. So this is the meaning of this Ashtaka, but yes, so here we'll be going with the Matsya avatar. So this is what I mentioned, right? Any Prabhuji or Mataji would like to read this? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
There were two incarnations of fish. The Lord appeared as one fish incarnation to save the Vedas by killing Harigriva, and he assumed the other fish incarnation to show favor to King Satyartha. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So the first one we spoke, and then the second one is nothing but the Satyavrata. So he was a very pious king. Okay. So who actually wanted to see the Lord. Okay. And then he was doing severe austerities. Okay. So austerities. So during this episode, right, he was only having water. So he was doing the austerity by taking only water. Okay. So that kind of austerities he was doing. Yeah. So we do, but our austerities are only limited to Ekadashis and all, right? So wherein on even on Ekadashis we try to eat multiple things, right? So yeah, but I think this was all at Satyuga, right? So people were very pious, and then even the king was very pious. Okay, and yeah, we'll just go through. Yeah, Mataji, you can continue here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
This
Krishna,
is a
Mataji.
story of how the Lord once incarnated as a fish. This happened because once Lord Brahma lost the Vedas, which were stolen by an asura called Hayagriva, who lived at the bottom of the ocean. Since a fish is the best animal for living in the water, Krishna took the form of a fish to get back the Vedas.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so the whole story. So you have the verse numbers also. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So at the end of Brahma's day, when Brahma felt sleepy and desired to lie down, the Vedas were emanating from his mouth, and the great demon named Hayagriva stole the Vedic knowledge. Okay. So this particular verse, right, say Kalengata Nidrasya Dahuti Shishyosar Bali Mukhato Nishratan Vedan Hayagrivo Antike Arahat. So he stole. So basically, in this episode, right? So as we discussed, so we saw that the demon was also killed. Okay. So the next verse is understanding the acts of great demon Hayagriva, the supreme personality of Godhead Hari, who is in full of all opulences, assumed the form of a fish and saved the Vedas by killing the demon. Okay. Yeah. So this is where uh, the other part comes in. Okay. So wherein the king Satyavrata, right? He actually was surviving on water. He was doing austerities by drinking water. So here he comes to this particular river. Okay. And then this particular river is called Kritamalya. Okay. So here he came to pay oblations. Yeah, oblations. Okay. And then so he took a dip in this water. Okay. And then say what I usually say whenever so we go to any sacred river or right so similarly he went to Pritamala river and then say there so usually what do we do? So if you go to Ganga or anywhere, right? So we actually take a dip and take Ganga water itself and then we do the oblations to the river, right? So we actually take some water and then again we give it back to the river itself, right? So what else we can give it to Ganga? So that's what we do to the water bodies whenever we enter into them, right? So it's the similar way, right? So this king went and then he was with his palm, right? He was doing those oblations, and then what happened is in his palm a, a fish came in. Okay. So when he was doing this oblation, right, this particular fish came in onto his hand. So unlike anyone, right? Say he was also about to leave the fish in the water. So because it just happened that it came in, right? So he thought it's better to leave it. Yeah. So there was there once lived a king named Satyavrata. Yeah. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu and daily worshipped him. One day, when he was doing his daily worship, a tiny fish seemed to get caught in his water pot. Yeah. So, and then, so when this king, right, so he tries actually um, to leave the fish, but the fish started talking to the king. Okay. And then the fish says that it actually asks the king for protection, saying that, can you keep me in a safe place because this place is not so safe. And then um, there is always a danger that the bigger fishes will come and they'll eat me, and so I feel this is not the right place, right? And as we all know, right, so King Satyavrata is a Kshatriya, right? And then say if anyone asks for protection, right, the Kshatriyas will never deny it, right? So that's one of the thing, right? And the other things are like if the Kshatriyas are challenged, right, for any fightings, any war, right, they can't deny that also. And similarly for gambling also. So if anyone challenges, then they take it up, right? So in similar way, right? So when this fish asked, saying that, say if you can give me protection, the king was more than happy. And then he had that kamandalu, so that water pot jug, right? Say with an handle. The few might have seen, and then for few that might be a new thing. But yes, so if you see, right, so most of the sadhus and they'll be the Vaishnavas, they'll be carrying this particular kamandalu. Okay, so actually to fetch drinking water and all those things. So the king put that particular fish in that kamandalu, and then he went. Okay, so the fish was happy. So it got the shelter of the king in this water jug, right? And so the fish actually the king didn't knew that this particular fish is the incarnation of the Lord, right? So he kept it, and then so the next day, what happens is this fish, right? Say it expands, and then it actually fits the jug. See the jug, and then it says that this particular jug, I'm not comfortable in this jug. And then it asks the king if you can give me a bigger place or a suitable place where I can move. Okay, so then the king actually takes the fish and then he'll puts the fish in a big well. Okay, so what happens is again the the fish expands this time, and then it occupies the well also. So now again the king comes, right? So in this episode, so again the fish says that I'm not able to move here. So can you actually look for some more bigger space? Okay. So then the king actually puts her into a river. Okay. And then in some time, the fish actually takes the size of the river also. Yeah. So doing all these things, right? So the king never felt frustrated. Okay. So because this is something unknown, right? So like uh, this is like he has given shelter to someone, and then the demands are increasing every day, right? So like one day a jug, one day it's a well, and then the other day it's river, and he's not getting frustrated with all these things. Yeah. So because they were all pious people, right? So had it been in our um, remit, right? So in this yuga, right? Or had we faced these type of things, right? If somebody asks some help for the second time, we get irritated, right? So that's the difference between the, the people in those era and this era, yeah. So uh, and then the king, right, not knowing that he is actually serving. So the king is serving someone, right? So see, he is getting the agyata sukriti, right? So he doesn't know that the fish is the incarnation of the Lord, but he is serving indirectly, right? So in that way, he is getting the agyata sukriti. Okay, and then what happens is the fish actually says that now this lake is also unsuitable. Find me a bigger place. So the king didn't have any choice, but he had to put that fish in the sea. Okay. And then after that, we'll see so what happens. Just let's run through the decks. If we are missing anything, then we'll cover those things. Yeah. Yeah. So these are in the form of text. So any Prabhuji would like to read, Prabhuji or Mataji? She can read the text, Prabhuji or Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
सातु तात्रेका रात्रेना वर्धमाना कमांडुलु अलब अलब्ध्वात्मा वकाशं वा idam aha महीपताम्. But in one night that fish grew so much that he could not move his body comfortably in the water of the pot. He then spoke to the king as follows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, you want to continue this one also?
Okay, okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
नाहं कमण्डलावस्मिन् कृच्छ्रं वास्तुम् इहोत्सहे कल्पयौकः सुविपपुलां वत्राहं निवसे सुखम्. O my dear king, I do not like living in this water pot with such great difficulty. Therefore, please find some better reservoir of water where I can live comfortably.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this is what we were discussing in, right? Any other Prabhuji or Mataji would like to read this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Then, taking the fish out of the water pot, the king threw him in a large well. But within a moment, the fish developed to the length of 3 cubits.
Yeah, read this one also, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you can
Yes,
continue.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. O Maharaja Parikshit, the king took the fish from the well and threw him in a lake. But the fish then assumed a gigantic form exceeding the extent of water.
Hare Krishna. So King Satyavrata took the fish to the largest reservoir of water, but when that also proved insufficient, the king at last threw the gigantic fish into the ocean. So here the king, right, when the fish was put into the ocean, right, and then when the fish was also expanding in the ocean, right, then the king Satyavrata got to know that this is nothing but so all these inconceivable things, no one else can do it, so except Lord, right? So he knew that this is nothing but the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayana or Hari, who is doing these pastimes, right? So Nunam tam Bhagavan Shakshat Dharir Narayano Avyaya Anugrahaya Bhutanam Dhatsya Rupam Jalukasham. So he's asking, my Lord, you are certainly the inexhaustible supreme personality of Godhead. So here he realizes, okay, that so these kind of inconceivable potencies or the power display, right? All these things can be only done by Narayana. So it is to show your mercy to the living entities that you have assumed the form of an aquatic. Okay. So all these conversations are actually happening between in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? It is between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. So there is an interaction, and then wherein even Parikshit Maharaj actually asks Sukadev Goswami that so why did the Lord actually take this shape, okay, the shape of an fish? Yeah? So basically, if you read Bhagavatam, right, all these things would be in so like question answers thing, right? So and then say all these are nothing but the answers which have been given by Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. Okay, so there's an interesting chapter though. Yeah. So then herein the Lord actually replies back. Okay. So this is the purpose. Okay. So why the Lord has incarnated as the fish incarnation. Okay. So any Prabhuji or Mataji would like to read this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Good.
The, the Lord replied, in 7 days the world will be plunged into the great flood of devastation. A large boat will come to you then. Now collect all the herbs, plants, seeds, trees, and all kinds of animals. Take them and the 7 rishis with you into the boat. When the storm rocks the boat, uh, that is up with the serpent Vasuki uh, to my
On Prabhu.
to my horn. Do not be afraid. I will support the boat during the flood and will give you transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So this is the actual cause. Okay. So once the fish grew so large, right? So when the king actually paid the obeisances, and then say he said that it is nothing but you, right? So who has so he when he identified that it is Lord, and then the Lord spoke, right? So he said that his why did he took it, why he has taken this avatar is nothing but in 7 days, right? There will be the pralaya, okay? Inundation will happen, okay? So and the whole universe is going to get purged into water, okay? So in that, right, he wanted to save this particular devotee and then the 7 rishis. Okay. So he actually gives the instructions to the king saying that in 7 days, right, from now, so there will be great floods and then great devastations and everything will be submerged. Okay. So he said that, so you'll have to meditate on me, and then by then, right, so you'll be getting a large boat which will come to you. Okay. And you'll have to collect all the herbs, okay, plant seeds, right? And then the, so all kinds of animals, and then take the 7 rishis with you into that boat. Okay. The first thing is they'll have to board that boat. Okay. And then, so when the storms rock the boat, right? So it will be this pralaya, right? So it will be very rough and uneven. So he says that at that time, right? So you'll have to actually tie. Okay. So tie the boat with the serpent Vasuki. Okay. And he says that at that time there'll be a fish which will be coming in. Okay. And you'll have to tie. So the fish will have one horn also. Okay. And you'll have to tie to that particular horn. And uh, the Lord says that I'll support him. Okay. So this is the whole idea which has been given to the king by the Lord. Okay. So in this way, right? So King Satyavrata being a pious person, right? So he actually considers all these things, but in the what happens is the fish now disappears. Okay. So what happens is on the other side, right? So it has given instructions here to this king, and the other side it goes and kill the Hayagriva demon. Okay. And then as the Supreme Lord says, right? So as he said, right, after 7 days, these things will happen, right? So Sukadev Goswami actually started to collating all the information, all the herbs and all, right? So, and then he was actually meditating. Okay. So this is in, so this will be pralaya, right? Inundation. So it is nothing but the 3 worlds should be merged into water. Okay. So, so what did he do is, so as the Lord said, right? So in the same way, right? So the water started rising. Okay. And so the king was actually had collected all the herbs and seeds and loaded them, and then he was accompanied and surrounded by the 7 rishis, right? And the inundation had started. Okay, so wherein there were powerful winds, right? All these things actually started. Okay, so as informed, right? So the king actually tied. Okay, he tied, uh, and yeah, as he mentioned, the fish also came in. The golden fish came in, and the king tied the boat to the horn of the golden fish. There was a single horn. Okay, so to which he actually tied up, and then in, so while passing through this pralaya, right? So the Lord actually was sailing through the boat. So he was actually, the fish was sailing through, and then it was actually navigating the boat to a safer place. Okay. And then it is being said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So that the fish with the single horn, right? It was 8 million miles long. Okay. So that's the length of the fish. Okay. So and then so what happens is while they are actually passing through this journey, right? So the Lord actually imparts the Sankhya philosophy to the king. Okay. So these things we'll see in the deck now. So when all the three worlds merge into water, a large boat sent by me will appear before you. Okay. So this is how. Then as the boat is tossed about by the powerful winds, attach the vessel to my horn by means of great serpent Vasuki, for I shall be present by your side. Okay. So it was being said that you'll have to actually, so you see this horn, right? So the Vasuki was actually being tied. Okay. So this is the next deck. So Satyavrata, King Satyavrata did as he was told. In 7 days, the flood started. There were terrific storms, and the clouds poured water down on the earth. So this is something similarly we can compare with the Lord Indra, right? So during this Govardhan pastime, when Krishna had there are torrential rains, right? So similarly, this is also same because it has to merge, emerge. So everything, so it's a pralaya, right? So all the worlds had to be submerged, all the three worlds. So that's the thing. So you could no longer see the earth or heaven. So it was so flooded, right? A- All was water. The king and seven sages sat in the boat in deep meditation. So they were actually meditating. And so then, while the king constantly meditated upon the supreme personality of Godhead, a large golden fish appeared in the ocean of inundation. The fish had one horn and was 8 million mile long. Yeah. So this is what Hemuniyuta Yojana. So this is what the length is being measured. Okay. So this Bhagavatam says. Okay. King Satyavrata prayed, "O Lord, just as gold loses its impurities when it comes into contact with fire, yeah, so the living being loses his ignorance when he worships you." So this is very nice analogy you can say, right? So wherein the king says that gold and silver we have in, right? So to remove the impurities, what do we do? So the blacksmith actually puts in the fire, right? And then the impurities get out of it, right? So similarly, for the living entities, for our conditioned souls, right? To get out of the ignorance, right? So to get out of our impurities, the material impurities, right? So we should actually worship you. So he says that please give me knowledge of you and cut the ignorance of my heart. And as Satyavrata listened, the Supreme Lord gave him the spiritual knowledge. Okay, so in here, the Supreme knowledge, the Lord actually gave him the knowledge. Okay, so the King Satyavrata, right? So in his next birth, right? So in the next birth in the Vaivasva Manu, right? So he is actually he took the birth as the Vaivasva Manu, which is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So he got he got that post of Manu. Okay, so in the next birth, the Lord gave him because of his prior credits. Yeah. Yeah. So anyone can read this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. May I?
1 minute, Mataji. Where did it go? Yeah, go ahead, Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Shall I continue? पुराणसंहितां दिव्यं साङ्ख्ययोग क्रिवावतीं सत्यव्रतस्य राजर्षर् आत्मा गुह्यम् अशेषतः. The Supreme Personality of Godhead thus explained to King Satyavrata the spiritual science known as Sankhya Yoga, the science by which one distinguishes between matter and spirit. In other words, Bhakti Yoga, along with the instructions contained in the Puranas, the old histories, and the Samhitas. The Lord explained himself in all these literatures. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, while sitting in the boat, King Satyavrata, accompanied by the great saintly person, listened to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of God in regards to self-realization. These instructions were all from the eternal Vedic literature, Brahma. Thus, the king and sages had no doubt about the absolute truth. The story concerning the great king Satyavrata and the fish incarnation of the Supreme Lord of Godhead Vishnu is a great transcendental narration. Anyone who hears it is delivered from the reactions of sinful life. Okay, so this is Sukadev Goswami actually telling to Parikshit Maharaj, saying that if anyone listens this episode with great faith, right? So he would be delivered from all the sinful reactions. So one who narrates this description of the Matsya incarnation and King Satyavrata will certainly have all his ambitions fulfilled, and he will undoubtedly return home back to Godhead. Okay. So with this, we end today's class. So any doubts anyone has? Anything you'd like to ask?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
So
Prabhuji.
I have one doubt regarding the Hayagriva has stolen these Vedas. So how
Yes.
he was stealing the Vedas? Because that time the books were not there.
So yeah, it was coming out of the mouth. Okay. And then he was listening them. Okay. And then at that time, right, Prabhu. So even the rishis and all brahmanas and all, right? So they never used to have any scriptures written. Okay. In Satyuga, right? Sukadev Goswami spoke Bhagavatam without any book or paper or pen. Right? In 7 days, he spoke everything, and then the other side, Parikshit Maharaj actually heard everything. Right? So even you look the Bhagavad Gita also, right? 700 slokas that was spoken in between Arjuna and Krishna. So he remembered everything, right, Arjuna? And then he was questioning. So
So
that's the way, Prabhu. So at that time, right, it was,
it is good for Hayagriva, Prabhu. But
but
he
he is
is
a demon, right, Prabhu? So if he stores the Vedas, right, so because Vedas are the rule books for us, right? So the Lord has given us Vedas, which actually direct us to go back. The ultimate thing in the Vedas is to take the conditioned souls back to the Godhead, right? So if they are not there, right? So how would the mankind survive? So the demons take it and then they'll utilize for something else, and then the next Manus and the next generations will not have the direction of Vedas, right? That's the reason the demon had to be killed. Yeah, Prabhu?
okay, Prabhu. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. And the detailed information, right? So about all these things you can read in Canto 8. Yeah. So it's all small kind of, so this particular episode actually comes in in a small number of chapters. So it's chapter 24 of Canto 8 if you read, right? So all these things would be covered.
Okay, Prabhu. So one more doubt I have regarding this the previous episodes. So regarding when we serve prasadam, so we should serve uh, in three, right? So
We shouldn't.
we yeah, we should not serve three in
Yeah,
quantities.
yeah.
But see, when we offer this agarbatti, so we normally offer three. Na? So what is the
No,
difference?
that's yeah. So I think in Agarbatis we can have 1, 3, or 5. So that is from the Pancharatri Vidhi. But while food items, right, sir, Prabhu? So that's there in our say. I think in our religion and in our say in custom, Indian customs, it is being said that the items like samosas or sweets, right, we should never give it 3. So that is actually given to the enemies, is what is been mentioned. Okay. Um, so that's something which we should avoid, Prabhu. And it's been told to us saying that this is something is being followed, right? And then we are asked to follow it. So yes. So 3 is something which we should not use. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. Got it.
So that applies to the foodstuffs, but not to the doop sticks. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So we'll wind up the class. Thank you for your association. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo nama. Hare Krishna. Hope you all have marked your attendance.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you all.